We were fortunate, obviously, to be able to get this in and have a little bit larger crowd. We did this last year as well, although that was the kind of the height of some of our COVID issues, and so we were kind of a limited crowd. So it's great to have the bodies that we have in the room. We're just so glad that you could be here. If I did not say hi to you, I apologize for that. Mike Holmes, I'm the athletic director here. And we're just thrilled. I mean, I think of my history textbook, and the one thing I used to like looking at is those timelines where you could find where all the things happened over history, and it was always fun to look at that. And that's really what this event is about. It's about the timeline of St. Ambrose athletics. It's a rich timeline. It's getting stronger and stronger all of the time. I could tell you our Hall of Fame picks become more and more difficult, as right now we're sitting with 31 sports. That's a lot of graduates going out into the world all the time who are doing significant things and had significant careers. And so these four have really accomplished something here by being chosen for inductees. But let's go back a little bit on our timeline, and we've been fortunate through the good work of Caitlin O'Brien, the assistant in the athletic department, to get some of our Hall of Famers back. And if those folks who are able to come back tonight as our sitting Hall of Famers wouldn't mind standing so our athletes and coaches can see what has come before them at St. Ambrose as a matter of excellence. Hall of Famers, please stand if you would. Thank you. And then obviously the people that we're here to honor tonight are, as I said, very impressive people. As we looked at this as a committee and poured through all of the recommendations and nominations and the statistics and all of the accomplishments both at St. Ambrose and beyond, these four just kind of rose to the top of the group, and so we'll be meeting them momentarily. But the reason I invite athletes and coaches here is I want them to hear from you, our induction class, on the things that it took to be where you are, and I know you'll be telling some stories along the way as well. But I think the theme that usually comes out in these speeches is just a dedication to both the academic pursuits and the athletic pursuits, and so that's why we invite our student athletes here, and that brings me kind of the right end of the timeline, our current folks, and for my former Hall of Famers and our current induction class, this is an exceptional group of people. I'll start with my coaching staff. Somebody hypothetically asked one time, well, would you want to be ever be in Division I? And the sincere answer to that is absolutely no way. I don't want anything to do with that kind of cesspool of the stuff that goes on at that level, because here, what it's about is not only athletic excellence, and we have a fine group who gets us into national tournaments. We have a team national champion. We have an individual national champion from last year. We have 2 national runners-up here. We have 2 other teams I can think of off the top of my head who appeared in national tournaments. The things are going well as far as that's concerned. We always want to continue to do better, but it's beyond that. I can't think of a coach on my staff who I've not had a conversation with about caring for one of their players, just concern over one of their players, and we care about that here. We don't look at kids as a way to advance our careers. Look at our webpage. These folks have been here for so long. It's not about career advancement for our folks. It's about trying to create a quality program and turn out quality individuals. Our academics speak for themselves. We are the 6 years running highest number of NAIA National Scholar athletic teams. That takes a 3.0 or greater. And so all but 2 of our programs qualified for that last year. And that's everybody. You can't hide somebody that flunked out or withdrew. They count on your average. So it's very impressive what we do here. Our coaching staff is among the best in the nation at any level. And I really believe that, having worked several different places. And finally, to our former Hall of Famers, our current inductees, Our student athletes are second to none here. I've seen them studying between sets, between a doubles and a singles match. I have seen athletic performance that makes me, I'm so glad that I'm not trying to play nowadays, because the athleticism is so much greater, the dedication is so much greater than it was when I played college athletics. These are an exceptional group of people. And I want our Hall of Famers, both current inductees and our past, to realize we're trying to turn out a product here that makes you proud to continue to be associated with St. Ambrose. And so our kids are just fantastic. So you've heard enough from me. We're really here to listen to our Hall of Famers, and we will be getting to that. We're going to let you eat first to enjoy that. But before we do that, my very special guest here tonight, if you're a kid here, you don't know this, but you've come at such an amazing time in history. You came after our outgoing president, Sister Joan, who was all about getting you first-class facilities in which to play. And anybody who has been here in the past knows the upgrades and the facilities that have happened. And now we welcome in, and I was a little bit nervous when we were hiring a new president, because you just never know. You go from the known to the unknown. But wow, did we hit it out of the park with Dr. Amy Novak. She knows athletics, she gets it, and now she's really concerned, I don't want to speak for her, but she's concerned about the student-athlete experience and what it means to be a student-athlete here at St. Ambrose and having the best possible experience you can. We absolutely hit a home run with the hiring of her, so I'm going to let Dr. Novak address you momentarily here.
Yay! I like that cheering. That's awesome. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Novak, and as Mike said, it's just a privilege to be here celebrating your accomplishments, those of you who are being entered into the Hall of Fame tonight, but also just celebrating this place we call Ambrose, and the legacy that it left on those of you who've attended, and the imprint it's leaving on those of you who are currently here. So I want to share with you a little bit. Mike was sharing a little bit of the interview process, and so Mike was on the interview search process, and so he's kind of digging in on some particular questions. And I finally looked at him and I said, let me tell you something. It is about winning and losing, and we learn something from competition, but fundamentally it's about how many times you pick yourself back up. It's about the resiliency. It's about being focused on overcoming failure and teamwork and commitment and dedication. And at the end of the day, if you're a school that's advocating for that, I can get behind it. Because fundamentally, that's the character that's built by athletic experiences. And how transforming is that in all of our lives? I know as a mom to 8, okay, I travel all over the place watching just about every single sport. And if it's not being performed in an activity that's formalized, it's happening in my basement, i.e. wrestling. So what I would share with you is this. What I've watched and observed over the years is that this is a powerful instrument of learning. Athletics is a tool. It is part of the entire experience that students can have here. It is not separate from the classroom. It is a classroom. And when we look at it from that lens, we understand the impact it has in the lives of so many of our people here. So I'm thrilled to be able to honor tonight the legacy of those who've been excelling in this. And I suspect what you learned while you were here and while you excelled, whether in soccer or tennis or golf, has translated into so many other areas of your lives. And I know that in athletics as well, we have this unique opportunity to form friends and bond on the bus rides and the late nights and the early mornings. And so to all of that, I just want to say, welcome back to Ambrose, to the friends that you've had and the friends that stay with you, that we hope we will always be a place that is home and where you feel anchored, where you learned, where you left an imprint, not just on yourself, but on all those who were influenced by you as select Hall of Fame inductees. So we're excited to have you here tonight. We're really excited for our students who are here too. It's been fun to go out and watch them and see them perform in their various different events, whether it's soccer or volleyball or football. I haven't got to bowling yet. I missed the cross-country meet, but I'm just really thrilled to see the sort of student focus that's happened, the commitment of our coaches to these programs. So you're at a great place, and I'm thrilled to be here as well, kind of co-leading along with Mike and all the coaches here on creating an exceptional experience for years to come. So thank you.
All right, as we said, continue to enjoy your meal. And again, get up and get anything that you need as we hear from our inductees. We decided when we created this format to allow people who really knew our inductees the opportunity to introduce them. And we like that they have stories, they know the individuals, they know the people, and it's a little bit more meaningful for our Hall of Famers. So with that, we will honor our first Hall of Famer by asking Chad Shane to come forward.
Thank you, and it's great to be back at St. Ambrose. I haven't been back here in almost 20 years. This place looks incredible now, and I'm just honored that Aaron gave me a call and asked me to come speak on his behalf and do his introduction. He was definitely my best friend. I played tennis here with Aaron from 1992 to 94, so we had a lot of great years together. And I've been in town for like a week now. My kids were here for a few days, took them around where I grew up, ran into some people I know. I'm like, hey, I'm introducing Aaron Conroy into the Hall of Fame. And they're like, oh, I don't remember Aaron. And they went to Ambrose. And I'm like, Tennessee? They're like, oh, yeah, Tennessee. Everybody at St. Ambrose called him, the Tennessee boy, Tennessee, of course. So now everybody's like, yeah, I remember Aaron. We had a lot of fun. Aaron was so competitive, not just in tennis, but we'd go play basketball, golf, softball, tiddlywinks, whatever it is, he was going to win. And that's why I loved hanging around with him. And one time I really remember how talented and competitive he was. There was a huge tournament in the Quad Cities, and there was college, ex-pro, the best people around from several states, and nobody in singles had ever beaten this guy named D.K. Pearson, who was an incredible tennis player at St. Ambrose as well. And Aaron was actually the first one to ever do that, and it was an absolute battle, 90 degrees, 100% humidity, and he finally did it, after 3 sets. It had to be a 2.5, 3 hour match. Just incredible win, and everybody knew how good he was, and he absolutely arrived on the scene for everybody at that point. The crazy thing is, he's such a competitor. He had one more match to go. He still had the doubles final after that, but he couldn't walk. He was literally laying on the ground, and we could see his leg cramping. He was so dehydrated, so exhausted, he couldn't even move. But of course, he got up on one leg and went out and won the doubles championship as well. He was the best doubles player for 3 years in this area, 3 years running. Nobody could beat him. He was just an incredible player. And we want to thank St. Ambrose for having him here. His awesome family's with him here tonight. I haven't seen him forever. He's got 2 boys that are incredible. He's a great dad. So they couldn't be here, unfortunately, but we get to be here with Aaron and enjoy this. And just want to say congratulations, Aaron.
Well, thank you, Chad. It was very nice. What Chad failed to mention there was I beat DK once, and he beat me about 12 times. But I did get him once. First thing I'd like to say is a number of thank yous. This is a great honor. I'm humbled to be here, going into the Hall of Fame. Thank you to St. Ambrose Athletic Department, Mike Holmes, Brian Thiessen actually reached out initially. Brian actually was on our team for 1 year. Now the sports information director for a number of years. Caitlin O'Brien for organizing. Chad Shane obviously made a big trip. He's been here for 8 days. Got to take in a football game last weekend with his boys. My dad, my mom, John and Emma Conroy made the trip from Memphis, Tennessee. 2 of my sisters, Paula Yoakum from St. Louis, Kristen Spence from Memphis as well. My wife Sarah's here. Chad, I won't tell any stories that would incriminate us tonight, but we'll leave those out. Last time my family was here, I think, is when they piled in a van and drove up here from Memphis for my college graduation. So they got to kind of do it again. I asked them how the family bonding was on the way up. I remember, I went to high school in Memphis, high school called Memphis Catholic High School. And I remember the day that the St. Ambrose admissions counselor showed up there, and I signed up to go to the meeting there. His name was Chris Lansing. He's actually a St. Ambrose Hall of Famer too. He worked for admissions for a year or two, I think. He was All-American linebacker for Ambrose, and he spoke volumes of the school, spoke volumes of the coach at that time. And I remember going home, that night or the day later or whatever, because I was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do for college. And I remember talking to my mom and dad and saying, hey, I really want to go check out St. Ambrose. And they were like, okay, where is that? And why do you want to go check that place out, So we had our conversation, went through it, and, I talked them into making the trip up to Iowa. Met with the admissions team, did my campus tour, went out and did a hit with the guys. At that time, we were hitting at Rock Valley Athletic Club. I'm not sure if it still exists or not. That was in Rock Island. They had some indoor courts there we would go hit on, so I hit with some of the guys. I remember, feeling really at home right away. I really felt right at home. The guys kind of welcomed me, and we were very impressed with the coach. The coach's name at that time was Shelly Weiner. Sheldon Weiner was his name, but he went by Shelly. I'm going to say a few things about Shelly because I really think a big reason why I'm standing here tonight is directly a result of him. The old adage says timing is everything, or right place, right time. And I truly believe I was lucky to be here and playing tennis for St. Ambrose when I was. A few things about Shelly just to share with you. He coached at Ambrose for 18 years from 77 to 94. His teams won district championships and qualified for the national tournament 16 of those 18 years. In case anyone's keeping track, one of the years was one of the years I was here that we didn't qualify. But he's, tremendous coach. Won 75% of his matches. He went into the Hall of Fame in '87 for St. Ambrose. Went in the Iowa Tennis Hall of Fame in '89, and in '92 won the Arthur Ashe Service to Tennis Award at the U.S. Open in New York City. That's a pretty big deal. The national tournament was always about 2 weeks after school got out. So, we would play our district tournament, and then that 2 weeks would be really a intense 2 weeks of practice. It was real hot. It was always real hot during that time. But we actually, the tennis courts were literally where we're at right now. There was 3 tennis courts here on this side of Rollman Hall, and that's where we practiced, literally where this building is right now. But anyway, we went to national tournament my senior year of college. Had a real nice, successful season. Tournament was in Tulsa. Got back late May, and in early June, we got word that he had passed away. He was 56 years old, passed away early June in '94. Me and our whole team, quite honestly, were devastated to say the least. The tennis and life lessons he taught were amazing. He was a true mentor, a father figure to his players, especially the many foreign players he was able to recruit to SAU. That was one thing that was kind of unique about him. He brought talent from all over the world to our team. Heck of a recruiter, known for his recruiting. Right before I got here, we had 2 guys that played for us. That they were only 1 years, unfortunately. We couldn't hold on to them, but one of them left here, played number 1 for University of Minnesota, won the Big Ten. Another guy left here, went and played for the University of Arizona, and both these guys played number 1 for those universities immediately when they left here. I mean, big-time guys. Fantastic guys to be a part of. You learned about their cultures, shared a lot of things. I mean, we would jump in a van and drive for 24 hours to Florida for spring break every year for that something called College Pack that was in Orlando. There'd be 16 men's and 16 women's teams there all at the same time at the same complex. And we played more tennis than anybody down there, so we didn't have a whole lot of time off, but we had a ball. But I had teammate. Obviously Chad Shane was my teammate, affectionately known as Rambo on the team. I mean, he would run through the fence shagging balls down. Spent a lot of his post-college years playing rugby all over the country, so he carried that through. Same tennis style. But we had teammates, international guys. Shelley had a pipeline coming here from the Philippines. Several guys from the Philippines that were, family Davis, that played Davis Cup for the Philippines. Argentina, Croatia, Serbia, Brazil, a number of U.S. players from Iowa, Illinois, and Nashville. Just a great guy. A fantastic coach. Couldn't have asked for a better coach. A couple quick stories about him. One story, we'd be in the van, we'd be driving. We went to St. Louis a lot. We played teams in St. Louis. We played Mizzou, played St. Louis University in St. Louis, but he always wanted to go to Ponderosa. That's what he wanted. I mean, every night Ponderosa, So he would say, okay, guys, we're trying to figure out where we want to go to dinner tonight. And he'd say, what do you guys want to do? And, you get a couple, pizza, chicken, or, tacos or whatever. And he'd be like, well, I need a consensus, So we'd come up with something, and he'd say, okay, so you guys want to go to Pizza Hut? And we'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, okay, well, I want to go to Ponderosa. So it's a tie. One team, one coach, tiebreaker goes to the coach. Let's go to Ponderosa. I mean, and he always won, So we ate at Ponderosa a lot. One other story, I've been lucky enough to coach. I've been coaching high school tennis for the last 10 years in Kalamazoo, Michigan, for a Catholic high school called Kalamazoo Hackett Catholic Prep. I was lucky enough to coach my son the last 4 years, my younger boy. He graduated last year. He played for me for 4 years. But, I find myself using a ton of the lessons that he taught me in my coaching today. And one thing that I use often is I remember we played matches a lot. When we played very few matches here because we only had 3 courts. But so we would go over to Northwest Park where they had 6 courts, and that's where we played our home matches back then. I don't know if Northwest Park still exists, does it? Okay. But I remember we were playing Illinois State, and I was simply getting destroyed by this guy. He was beating me soundly. And Shelley walked up to the fence, and he said, Aaron, how's it going? And if there was flip numbers, he saw the score. He knew how it was going, So I said, he said, how's it going, Aaron? I said, well, they're not going so well, He said, you know what? There's about 1,000 ways to lose a tennis match. Why don't you try a different one? And he walked away, and I was like, it's a pretty valid point, So I think I tried something different and still lost. But one of Shelley's goals for us as guys, he, again, a mentor. He came to all the basketball games with us, sat at all the basketball games with us. He was a lifelong bachelor. He owned the Life Fitness Center for a number of years in Bettendorf, and Chad and I were club pros there for a couple years post-college when we were playing a lot of tournaments in the Midwest in the summertime. But one of his goals was always for St. Ambrose, obviously because it's Iowa and it's cold, was he always wanted our team to be the number 1 ranked team in the nation outside of the year-round play states, down in the South and the Southeast. And that was always his goal, and he would build his schedule accordingly. And some years we attained that, and some years we didn't. But I thought it was always an awesome goal. We played a 35 to 40 match schedule every year, intense 30 matches every spring. Played a tough schedule, 8 to 10 D1s every year, and just had a ball. I mean, we traveled around playing good teams, competing with the best teams in the Midwest for sure. My junior year, I don't know how this happened. I think Shelley had a connection somehow, but University of Hawaii came here to played us in Rock Island my junior year. We played them at Rock Valley Athletic Club, and we beat them. We beat the University of Hawaii 5-4 that day. So immediately when we got done, we were like, "Coach, is this a home and home? Are we going?" And he was like, "No, it's not a home and home." So unfortunately, it wasn't a home and home, but that was an awesome memory. Again, I can't say enough things. I was just lucky to be here when I was. I've had the great experience now I have two boys. My older boy Crew is at Lander University in Greenwood, South Carolina. Both my boys are lacrosse players, so he's playing lacrosse at Lander University in South Carolina. My younger boy Rhodes is playing lacrosse at Lincoln Memorial University in Tennessee. So I've gotten the pleasure of seeing that passion develop in them, and really working toward a goal their whole lives as well, and kind of pushing them to that end. Not intensely, but if they demonstrated a need, they wanted to do that. I was always on their side, backing up, wanting to do that, and that's been a pleasure for my wife Sarah and I to see them achieve their goals that way. We're looking forward to watching a lot of lacrosse in the next couple springs. They actually play each other this coming spring, so that'll be a lot of fun to go watch that game. Last thing I'll say is, one other fond memory I have of choosing St. Ambrose was there was long car rides back and forth from home, and most of the time I made those car rides with my dad, and I remember he taught me a lot of life lessons on those car rides, a lot of words of advice that I still pay a lot of attention to today. He also wrote me some letters that I still have to this day. I glance at from time to time, and I've written a couple very similar letters to my boys, but that's time that I cherish. Those car rides I cherish, and if I wouldn't have came to this place, we wouldn't have had those car rides. So thank you for that. Thank you for the lifelong nurturing. That's all I have. Thank you very much for this honor. I can't believe it. I mean, I'm thrilled beyond belief. Again, thank you to St. Ambrose Athletic Department. It's a great honor. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks very much.
To introduce our next inductee, I would like to invite Jennifer Goetz to the lectern.
Hello, everyone. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Goetz. I graduated from St. Ambrose in 2007 with my bachelor's in education, and then also in 2010 with my master's in organizational leadership. I'm very honored to be here tonight to talk about and introduce one of this year's Hall of Fame inductees as Ali Dunlap. I was blessed with having the opportunity to have coached Ali during the years of 2007 to 2010. Ali was an amazing young lady who was respected by all, and excuses were not in the frame of her mind. From day one, I could tell Ali's parents raised her right by the way she approached every day and her genuine, authentic attitude towards everything and everyone. Ali had such a calm, caring demeanor, but when she hit the court, watch out. I'm currently in my 15th year of coaching, and you would think I could come up with a better way to explain what makes a player great. But the best way I can describe it is that they have this unique, unmatched it factor. These it factors make them the type of player that you can't forget about. They make these players once in a lifetime. These it factors leave you speechless at times when they are on the court. These it factors are different for each great player. And in my opinion, Ali Dunlap had two major it factors that separated her from other players that put on the historic St. Ambrose Queen Bee uniform. Number one, Ali made other people around her better in all areas. When I was coaching Ali, I was at the ripe young ages of 22 to 24. It was my first true coaching experience, and during that time, I could come up here and talk about all the X's and O's, part of Ali's dominating game, but what still sticks with me today is how she went, her teammates went. Her leadership abilities were remarkable. I have never been around a player that could raise the level of play by her actions alone every single day. Ali's ability to practice at such a high level every day was unreal, and I mean unreal. I never remember a time where she wasn't the hardest working player on the court. I am not just saying this to make my speech sound better either, it's the truth. Her level of intensity was remarkable, and she led her teammates to new heights because of it. I reached out to some of Ali's former teammates to ask them to describe Ali in one or two words. Their responses are powerful, heartfelt, and verify Ali's first it factor. Here are a few of their responses. Teammate number one, consistent and diligent. Ali always showed up. She always did the little things right, which led her to major successes, and her consistency made her such a reliable friend and teammate on and off the court. Teammate number two, consistent. She was consistently moving, consistently motivating herself and her teammates, consistently looking at the next step to better the team, consistently being a great friend and teammate, and consistently putting in the work to be great. You could always count on her. I was so lucky to have her as a teammate and now a lifelong friend. Another teammate, tough. She was always tough in all situations. Actually, I could use adaptive, agile, and fierce too, but I'll go with tough. Another teammate, driven. She crushed it in basketball while working on her BSN. She was just amazing. Another teammate, leader in all areas, period. And lastly, dynamic. I do feel strongly that it's noted Ali is more than any one word I could use to describe her. In my life, I can easily say Ali is in the top 5 people that have inspired me to be a better all-around person. I'm not sure I ever witnessed a time where Ali didn't give 100% at whatever she was doing. Practice, lifting, school, checking in with us friends. I chose dynamic because I feel like it encompasses the mark Ali leaves with everything she does in life. I haven't talked to her much more over the years, but I don't have one doubt that she still puts her whole into every aspect of her life. Make sure you tell her congrats for me, Coach. Congrats. Her freshman year, the Queen Bee record was 29-6. Her sophomore year, the record was 20-11. Her junior year, the record was 24-8. And her senior year, the record was 29-5. Her career record as a player for St. Ambrose was 102-30. Numbers speak for themselves. It verifies her number one it factor for making other people around her better on and off the court. It factor number 2, great players impact the game in all areas. In my opinion, the best all-around player in St. Ambrose women's basketball history is Ali Dunlap. You don't believe me? Listen to the facts. Out of the 7 major career categories, points, rebounds, steals, assists, block shots, field goals made, and free throws made, Ali is the only player to be in the top 7 in all of those categories in St. Ambrose women's basketball history. Ambrose has had many All-Americans and great players, but none of them compare to the way this 3-time All-American completed at the game at all levels. As you can see in the brochure, she finished her career second in total career points with 2,153, fifth in career rebounds with 1,126, third in total career assist with 551, second in total career steals with 424. I would have left her in some more minutes so she could have broke that, but that's okay. Seventh in total career points, block shots for 108. Fourth in total career field goals made was 772. And second in total career free throws with 593. Challenge yourself tonight at some time to sit back and look at those numbers and be like, wow, she did that in 4 years. The numbers don't lie again. Ali is in a class of her own. The way she impacted the game on both ends of the floor was mesmerizing. One story I have, and I don't even know if Ali knows this story. It was her junior year. I don't remember where we were playing at. It was a conference game. And Coach Nate was a very intense coach. And it was halftime. And we did not have a very good first half from a team standpoint. And my job as the assistant was, at halftime, go check the scores table, get the stat sheet, while he and the girls went to the locker room. So I do my job. I do that. As I come across the floor, I look down at the stat sheet and I notice most everyone else who played was not having a good game. Ali's stats were typical Ali stats: 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 steals, 5 assists, whatever it was. Normal Ali game. And I remember I got over to Coach Nate, and he was so mad. He was like pacing back and forth, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And I remember I will never forget the 2 questions he asked me the moment I get over there, and he yells, "What is Ali Dolphin doing out there? Is she giving us anything?" And I'm like holding the stat sheet as a 23-year-old. I'm like, I don't say anything. He's like, Is she Goetz? And I was like, all right, I'll say it. I was like, well, I think she's the only one doing anything, to be honest. And I remember he took the sheet in my mind. I'm like, oh God, he's going to blow. And he's like, you're right, she is the only one doing anything. And I remember that after that game, that we ended up winning actually, but after the game, it was a talk that I won't forget with him. And it was like, we have such high standards for her, where if you look at her stat line, if that was anybody else, you'd be like, that was the best game of their career. And he's going to halftime saying, is she doing anything? Well, yeah, she is actually. And I just think it puts in perspective how impactful she was on the basketball court all the time. Ali has left her mark on the record books, her coaches, her teammates, her family, the entire St. Ambrose University community. She only has one more accomplishment to receive, so it is my honor to introduce Ali Dunlap to the St. Ambrose University Athletic Hall of Fame.
My goodness, I was not expecting that. Thank you very much. Let me just get my phone here. Thank you for this incredible nomination and honor. I am so humbled to have my name listed in the Hall of Fame next to some of Ambrose's greatest athletes and among some of the amazing women that have gone through St. Ambrose women's basketball program. It is also a great reminder of the athletic abilities I used to have. I also want to congratulate my fellow inductees on their accomplishments and their careers here at St. Ambrose. I am indeed in good company. This award is so much bigger than one person. I could not have accomplished it without the support and help of my coaches, teammates, and family. This award speaks highly of my wonderful coaches, Coach Goetz, who's here with me today, Coach Nate, who was my coach for my first 3 years, and Coach Krista, who was my coach for my senior season. The list is countless as far as the support staff and assistant coaches that I've had the opportunity to work with for my 4 years. I'm also appreciative of my wonderful teammates who always pushing me in practice, my family, for being my support system and my family away from home. None of this would be possible without them. My most notable partner in crime was Jenny Clark, who probably accounted for at least 2/3 of my assists. So I have thanked her for that. I will never forget the article in the paper where Coach Nate actually compared us to peas and carrots from the famous reference quote from Forrest Gump. Jenny was a big sister to me and was a major reason for my success at St. Ambrose. My biggest supporters and fans will always be my parents, who helped shape me as a basketball player. They were my first coaches, and I will forever be in debt. I will never be in debt for them for all their sacrifice and dedications to help me pursue my dreams of playing college basketball. My dad, who passed away the year after I graduated, was my biggest fan. Excuse me. He always pushed me to advance my game growing up by encouraging me to play with older individuals, play outside of my hometown with AAU. I was so fortunate to have both of my parents at almost every college game I played. I will forever be grateful for all the basketball memories with my parents and how much they loved traveling to Ambrose to watch me play. I would not be up here today without their love and support. And I know my dad is here celebrating with us today. Women's basketball, St. Ambrose, and Davenport will always hold a special place in my heart. Feelings of gratitude, competition, and family. This award goes to everyone that's helped me along the way. Thank you.
For our next inductee, I'd like to invite Father Bud Grant to the lectern.
Hi, everybody. I am Father Bud Grant. I know I don't dress like a priest, but I am one, and been here for quite a while. Greg called me a few weeks ago, and I didn't answer the phone because it was late, and then he called again, and I thought, no, we're going to see who can be more stubborn here. I'm not going to answer the phone. Then he called a third time, and I hear this voice on the phone saying, Father Bud, you got to answer the phone. I need you right away. And I thought, oh, God, he's in trouble again. And it was this, and I was very, very pleased to be asked to introduce him. I have kept up with Greg to a certain extent after he left here. Baptized, all three of your kids? Yes, and did your wedding, and you're still married, and your daughters are still speaking with you. Well, success then. Greg was a member of the most successful men's soccer team that I had the privilege of coaching in the 10 years that I was doing the job. In the years that he played with us, we won conference one. We came in second in conference 3 times. I still hate the color red because of Grandview, no offense. We were nationally ranked twice, and we made SAU's first appearance at a national tournament for men's soccer. We had 16 first team and 15 second team, all conference players during that time. Among these extraordinary, talented teammates, some of whom still looking pretty extraordinary over there, fellas, Greg stood out. I should say he stood above them because he really liked to take headshots. As a matter of fact, we were practicing one day, and Greg was not having we were just not having a good day. We were practicing corners, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't clicking. And finally, who was it? Who kicked the ball in? Schooneman? Was it you, Shu? You're going to take credit for it anyway. Kicked the ball in, Lehman went up for it, bopped it off his head and went in the net, and he landed on his feet, and he started screaming, and I'll leave out certain words that he may have said. See what happens when you put the ball on my head? He will never live that down. Greg is exceptional because of his overall athleticism. He has simple, gritty, head down, and straight-ahead determination. If there was an award for dirty jersey at the end of a game, he would be an All-American another time. It was all about getting the ball in the back of the net, and he didn't really care how he did it. It was kind of ugly sometimes. What he did, 89 career goals, which is a record for the school, 27 career assists, 205 career points, which is so far above the number 2 guy that it will never be met. 61 points in a season, 29 goals in a single season, which is still a record. And it was, is it still the number 2 record in the nation? 27 goals in a season and 10 hat tricks. For those of you, hat trick is 3 goals in the same game. He's a 3-time All-American, 2-time Player of the Year for Region 7, and 4-time First Team All-Conference. Greg has clearly earned this significant recognition of his contribution to the men's soccer program at St. Ambrose University, and I'm really, really honored to be able to introduce him to you. That's one more story, but remember the golf cart? Yeah? Mom, Dad, remember the golf cart? Yes. Oh, you remember the golf cart. So we were headed for one of our best seasons ever. We had this absolutely knockout, extraordinary team, and we knew we were just going to do great things. And we had, this great knucklehead goal scorer with us, so how could we lose? So about, was it day before the season started, we're out practicing, and he comes up and pulls his hand out from behind his back, and it's all wrapped up like a boxer's glove. He had rolled a golf cart over on his hand and was out for the year. I don't think I said too many bad things, but I thought a few bad things. It was many years later before he revealed the details of that particular accident. In any case, it is not his athletic ability, it's not his head down and run to the goal that makes him who he is, it's his character, not his stats, that make him a success. He was, as he is now, as he was then on the pitch, a hard worker, a straight talker, who is always looking for goals with hunger, intent, and confidence. He looks out for those that he cares about. He makes other people's talents shine. He's a good man. He's a good husband. He's a good father. He's a good son. And he's a good friend. Before every game, 113 of them in the time that Greg played with us, we always huddled with our hands in, and at the end we always had this same little prayer. It's never about any one of us. It's always about all of us. I can't tell you how often I still remind myself of that in my personal life. And these guys and this guy are the people that I am most proud of having associated with in my time at St. Ambrose, which I hope is not going to end anytime too soon. In those times, we won 64 games, lost 40, and tied 9 times. But his biggest achievement, as he told me just earlier today, is possible because he belonged to a great team. He still does. We all do. Go Bees.
Moved about 12 times tonight. Move it again. All right. Good evening. Thank you first off to St. Ambrose, Mike Holmes, so I can finally put a face to a name. The rest of the athletic department and staff for hosting this event. Congratulations also to the other inductees. Obviously, what a great accomplishment and an awesome evening. So I sat on my couch the other night, tried to figure out how I'm supposed to write the speech and what I'm supposed to say. I continued to think about it over and over many times, realized I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for the help and support of many people along the way. So tonight I'd like to take my time and show the appreciation for those people that allowed me to be here. First and foremost, wouldn't be anywhere in my life without my mom and dad. Started a few years ago. YMCA at 5 years old. The support through traveling soccer when we went all across the country, never missing a high school game, to somehow never, very rarely ever missing a college game, and then finding the time to get me and my fellow mates some drinks and food after the game was over. I could never begin to tell you how much I appreciate everything you did for me. Even when I would forget my shin guards in my shoes, somehow you forget that. And we'd run to Walmart quick and buy new ones before the game. So I love you very much, and thank you, thank you, thank you. As my career began to develop as a young player, there's always people along the way you look back and realize, wow, where would I have been without this person? That person would be Chris Payne. For the rest of my life, I will never forget that family team meeting at the Bettendorf Library where he asked my parents to stay after that evening. He then proceeded to ask my parents if you could work with me twice a week at Bettendorf Middle and provide me private lessons. Obviously, my parents looked at you and said, "You're nuts, we can't afford private lessons." You proceeded to explain, "I don't want any money, I just want your son." After playing for you for the next few years, we had a boatload of fun and some very interesting times at a said-to-be Oktoberfest tournament, if you don't remember. I then moved on, ended up at St. Ambrose to play soccer, and walked into Lehman Arena for the first time, looked up at the Hall of Fame, and outside of one other, I looked up and saw Chris Payne's name. I said, "Hey, I know that guy." Can't tell you enough. Thank you for all your time, effort, and energy working with me. So thank you very much. As I continued through my high school career, I came to the penultimate point of time to decide where to go to college. Living in Iowa, where we still play soccer in the spring, puts you at a slight disadvantage as most other states play soccer in the fall. Scholarships are gone, and then you get to the guys in Iowa, and you have to figure it out. I'd always dreamed of going somewhere way far away for college. We were at a Muscatine college search tournament where we were put in the wrong division. I believe Matt Brumfield was on my team at that time. We destroyed everybody, like it wasn't even close. So all the college coaches watched the first 10 minutes, and it was 3, 4, 5-0 already, and they would leave. Pretty disheartening as you watch all of your potential just walk down the field the other way. So after the end of the tournament, the short old man walked up to me and asked me if I'd committed to a university yet.
I wasn't that old then.
Clearly my answer was no. This man would turn out to be one of my greatest friends and mentors for not just me, but for many others. This man was Father Bud Grant. I showed up at St. Ambrose my freshman year, August 16th, 2004, and the ride began. From there, we had more stories and memories than I will ever have time to discuss tonight. We had plenty of polite-ish disagreements and conversations on what the team needed and where the team needed to go. I don't know who prevailed more, but I'll let you have that one. I would have never have dreamed we would have taken this team in places that it went. There was no sensical way on how this guy got all of this talent to come here when, honestly, the entire starting 11 could have went and played D1 for a top 25 school, hands down. It's a true testament to you as a person and you as a coach. If I could redo it, you couldn't pay me enough money to play for anybody else. Thank you for being my coach, a great mentor, and a truly, truly, truly a great friend. Thank you. The next person saved my butt quite a few times, actually, Jason Bourque. When I was sitting here thinking about who to invite, I couldn't think of a better person. I'm not sure how you did it, but I never missed a single college game due to an injury on the field. So outside of the golf cart accident, which can be left alone. Whether it was getting taped before practice, getting STEM therapy after practice, getting in the ice baths ready, physical therapy, or even just stopping in to shoot the shit between classes or between practice. You truly became someone I counted on to keep me on the field, so thank you very much, buddy. When I came here as a freshman, there was another individual I still look up to and had an opportunity to talk to tonight, another member of the Hall of Fame, and that's Mr. Ray Shellblade. I'll still never forget the first speech I heard him give. If I talk long enough, my voice might get there. He talked about two things. First, always telling your mom and your dad that you love them, so check mark on that one. And the second thing still resonates today. I'm sure the other recipients have heard it, and probably most of the rest of you. We all have 86,400 seconds in a day. It's up to you to what you do with them. Don't waste them. I took both of those very seriously and still do today. It was great having him as an athletic director as well as a teacher. It was awesome because if he couldn't make the game, he would always ask you the next day, how'd we do? If it was a win, it was always the same response. Good job. Keep up the good work. If it was a loss, it was still always the same response. Keep your head up. We'll get the next one. And that was it. Like then it was straight down the hall and you went that way and you went that way. That was it. So thank you for being vested in not just sports, but also the athletes. Mike, who I've had the opportunity to meet now tonight, you have some pretty big shoes to fill, which I'm sure you probably already knew that. But thank you again, Ray, for everything. The next person is no longer with us, who's also another member of the Hall of Fame. It's Mike Orfetelli. He was my advisor my junior and senior year. Again, very involved with starting the women's program here many, many years ago. He would always come to games and catch you in the hallway just to get an update if he couldn't make it. Mike, I wish you were here today so I could give you a big hug. I hope you're watching. I love you and I miss you, man. Thank you for everything. All right, now, lastly and obviously, most importantly, I don't even know where to start, but played with a lot of great guys while I had my tenure here at St. Ambrose. Brandon Canals, Rob Mayfield, Brett Yarzak, Chad Rhodes, Tom Hine, Rob Eckert, Clint Mattingly. I mean, the list goes on, many more. But my last 2.5 years here at St. Ambrose, which the half was obviously elongated by the golf cart ride, I got to spend time with that table right over there. Some of them aren't here today, but the things we accomplished together as a team probably never going to get touched again as a team. We're the only team, winningest team in SAU history, highest ranked team in SAU history, and the only team in the history of the program to play in the national tournament. We ran the Fedgebury Hill together. If you do not know what that is, just try driving your car up it. And we didn't just do it once. We did it 10 times and then ran back. We played countless opponents, destroying many of them. We spent hours in the training room. Obviously, they can say thank you again, Jason. We had triumphs and defeat, but never lost each other as a team. I could honestly sit here and tell stories about some of the stuff we did together, our trials and tribulations, but man, we had some fun. But there is one story I will tell you. Father Bud, if you could grab that trophy sitting behind you. So the Bishop's Cup is in the house. This cup was a trophy set up between Loris College in Dubuque and St. Ambrose. Help me. I don't know. Many, many years ago. Two Catholic institutions, and we would play for this. So the year we won this, our senior year, 2008, Loris had never lost in their new stadium, correct? So night game, baby blue long sleeve jerseys. We ended up winning 2-1, and obviously the trip to the center of the field to grab the cup couldn't have happened quick enough. Where did I lift off? All of you have made my life incredibly easy that played behind me. I was talking with Lavin yesterday when I talked to him on the phone about how you could have the greatest talent ever and never have a great team. We had both. I could never have asked for a better group of guys to spend my time here with at St. Ambrose. We will be standing up here again soon as a team, the 2008 men's soccer team. You got your pen, Mike? As we will be inducted at some point in time into the St. Ambrose Hall of Fame. So the biggest thank you probably doesn't do justice, but thank you guys. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. Again, thank you to St. Ambrose University. Thank you for everyone who helped me get to this point. And once again, thank you to my team. Thank you.
I'd like to invite one of our coaches here, Jeff Grebel, to the lectern for our final inductor.
I'd like to start off by congratulating all the honorees. I've been here a long time. I know most of you all. Saw you compete. Know Coach Shelley. Great stories are being told tonight. It's a great deal. So congratulations to all the honorees. As Mike said, my name is Jeff Grebel. I'm the men's golf coach here at St. Ambrose. I'm honored to introduce Josh Nelson as our newest golf inductee into the St. Ambrose Athletic Hall of Fame. During his years at St. Ambrose from 1997 to 2001, Josh was by far the most dominant and well-respected golfer in our conference at that time. Josh was first-team all-conference all 4 years, was voted the Midwest Classic Conference Men's Golf Player of the Year in both 2000 and 2001. Josh won 14 tournaments during his 4 years at St. Ambrose, which still stands as a school record for most individual wins during a career. And a number of those wins were Division I tournaments that Josh won against mostly Division I competition. So unbelievable accomplishments. Josh was voted to the NAI Men's Golf All-American first team in 2000 after his fifth place finish at the National Golf Championship, which was played that year at Isleta Golf Club in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Josh was tied for the lead after 54 holes, finishing with a final round of 74, which ended up 3 shots out of a playoff for the individual championship. And one thing that's interesting about that particular tournament is the year that Josh was tied for the lead after 3 rounds, he was tied with another individual from the Quad Cities, Mike Scott, who played at Huntington College in Alabama then, and he's the golf pro at Core Valley now. So what a small world. National championship in New Mexico, and the 2 guys tied for the lead are both from Davenport. You know, that's kind of got some interesting bylines in the local papers, Albuquerque News, that next day. So the following summer, after Josh accomplished that, he was chosen to represent the United States on the USA national golf team that competed in the World University Golf Championships in Northern Ireland at Castle Rock Golf Club. He was the first St. Ambrose golfer to be chosen to represent the United States in an international golf competition. And Josh's dad and I were able to go and watch him at that year, and it had a great experience. I remember we rented a car, and he had to drive on the left-hand side of the road. Do you remember that? Yeah. So I know I did. So it was interesting, though. So we agreed that we were going to both be drivers on the insurance type deal. So I got the keys the first day. I said, well, I'll do it the first day. So I'm driving on the left-hand side of the road, knocking down limbs and trying to just survive, right? I mean, you were with me, right next to me, clinching the side there. So we get back to the place we're staying at, the little bed and breakfast that we were staying at, and the next day I'm so happy because I'm thinking, okay, I don't have to drive today. We're going to take alternating turns. We're going to be there like for 6 days. So it's your turn next day. And he goes, no way in hell. I'm not driving that car. I gave him the keys again, right back to me. I was stuck driving the whole week, which was fine. But it was a wonderful experience. I was so honored to watch Josh compete in that event. It was a great experience. So I'll be honest with you. In my 40 years coaching the men's golf team at St. Ambrose, Josh Nelson is one of the most talented individuals that I've ever had the privilege to coach. He's most deserving of his induction to the St. Ambrose Hall of Fame tonight. I really want to congratulate Josh and his family on this great honor. Long overdue, very well deserved. Congratulations, Josh.
Good evening. Thanks, everyone. If there's any questions about the quality of Guinness in Northern Ireland, I got 2 guys that you can get with after that can attest to it. I assure you, I had nothing to do with it. First off, I want to thank St. Ambrose University Athletic Department, Athletic Director Mike Holmes, and Coach Grebel in particular for that introduction. I spent my entire childhood growing up wanting to be a professional golfer. And there was plenty of time when I was growing up where you would imagine a scenario where somebody's putting a green jacket on you, or you're receiving a claret jug, and you're given the opportunity to have somebody stick a microphone in your face and kind of discuss or at least highlight the people that allowed you to get here. And that's what this honor has given me. First and foremost, I'd have to thank my family, in particular my father and my grandfather. The latter, which, and I was joking with Coach Grebel before this, had a knack for hanging on to newspaper articles and scorecards over all my years and accomplishments. So when I got the call from athletic director Holmes, I had quite the photo album of different accomplishments to be able to reference. And my dad, obviously, between the two of them, they spent as much time and resources as they possibly could to put me in a position to be successful. I can remember, as everybody was telling their stories, I can remember that we used to cut the grass down in the backyard and bury a coffee can when I was a real little kid, and I'd spend hours back there chipping and putting into a hole in the ground. And as I got older, back then you had to be 11 years old in order to play at the city courses here in Davenport, and I had started earlier than that. And there came a point when I got older that the old man would drop me off in the summers in the morning at 6:30, I think I want to say. It was on his way to work, getting a kid of 11, 12 years old out of bed. I honestly don't know how he did it. But he would drop me off at Hidden Hills, and I would stay out there all day and play golf. I remember one day I walked like 63 holes or something. And I would always play for dimes with the old guys at 7 o'clock in the morning. Thankfully, they took it easy on me. I think there might have been one time where I might have been on the verge of tears and somebody bought me a hot dog for lunch or something to that effect. I also like to thank the friends that are here in attendance. Most of them are not golfers, and some have since taken it up. So they don't know anything about it, to tell you the truth, or at least didn't. But they were always extremely supportive. I think they understood my passion for the game, my desire for what I wanted to achieve, and always were there willing to support that in the good times and the bad. And there are two other folks that I'd like to recognize. One is a former Ambrose golfer, Ron Thrapp. I worked for Ron when I was in high school, and Ron became a bit of a mentor to me at that time. And then the other is Jim Hazley. Unfortunately, Mr. Hazley just passed away in May of this year, but he worked out at Emi's Golf Course for 31 years, and I worked for him while I was here at Ambrose, and he was a tremendous mentor for me, and Coach Grebel will attest, quite a few of the golfers that have come through this program. I had the good fortune of going to the Ryder Cup this past weekend, and if anybody that paid any attention, it wasn't really much of a contest. But one of the narratives that kind of came out of the losing team's loss, in this case it was Europe's loss, was some dialogue from a couple of the players on the European team who are extremely accomplished, as wealthy as you could imagine, discussing how honored they were to be part of that team, even in losing. And that it stood out to me because golf, by its nature, is an individual game. But there is something, and especially for those of us that are lucky enough to play high school or college sports, to be part of a team atmosphere. And that's where the work that Coach Grebel has put in all of these years to develop the program really shines. I remember I went to Davenport North here in town, and my freshman year, we qualified for state as a team. And it was the first time that I believe North had only been around since '85, but that was the first time we'd ever qualified on the men's golf side for the state tournament. And my sophomore and junior years, I qualified in as an individual. And back then, in order to go as an individual, you had to finish first or second in that tournament. And I want to say there were 14 teams. So it wasn't an easy task, and I was fortunate enough to be able to do it my sophomore and junior year. And then when my senior year came around, I know I put so much pressure on myself that I wasn't able to qualify and to give myself that shot at trying to get to the state tournament as a senior. I had finished second the year before, and actually had made some comments in hindsight to the newspaper after that I now wish I could take back about how I get it next year, et cetera. I was the Cubs fan, right? But that was the most, I guess, refreshing change of pace when I came to St. Ambrose. I had known some of the guys that were on the team and had said nothing but glowing things about the program. Fellow Hall of Famer Skip Burkmeyer and a couple other guys who I'm sure Coach Grebel will remember in the late 90s, Ben Peters and Chris Wilkins, that there were really great players. Back then, right about the time I started high school, the local Quad City Amateur offered a spot in the John Deere Classic, or whatever we were calling it back then, the Hardees, if you were to win that tournament. And I want to say Ben may have won it the first 2 years, and eventually Chris won it a couple of times, and were given the opportunity to play with the pros over there. But I'll never forget, and he just reminded me this the other day, the first college meet tournament that I played in. I don't think I played particularly well, and when we got done, I made comment to Chad Harland, who was on the team with me. I was kind of hemming and hawing about how I'd played, and I said to him, like, well, do you think we're gonna win? And without skipping a beat, Chad looked at me. He's like, well, yeah, we'll win. And that was an experience that I just simply hadn't had, and he was right. We did win. We won quite a bit during that time frame. I had some teammates on that team in Bill Olson, Kevin Pickerel, and myself, who were all Americans 3 years in a row. Chad Harland, who was also on that team, did manage to win the Quad City Amateur 1 year in play in the John Deere Classic, and he actually ended up playing with the gentleman that won it. It was an atmosphere that allowed me to be my best self, my best golfer. Being able to take some of that pressure off of myself from an individual standpoint really allowed me to flourish in that team setting. When Athletic Director Holmes called me back in May, letting me know about this honor, I honestly kind of struggled up until even middle of the day today with what I was going to say. And I like to consider myself fairly introspective about most parts of my life, but golf doesn't seem to be one of them. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why I really didn't have that insight. And it dawned on me just recently that I was like, in part, because with golf, it's like I don't ever consider that career over, I'd like to think, at least the competitor in me still thinks that those best years are still ahead of me. But I suspect that when it is all said and done, I'll look back on the time that I spent here as being the best golf that I ever played. And it has a lot to do with the people that are around me, the team that was around me, the staff that was around me. I'd also like to, and off the athletic forum, I guess, if you will, there's two individuals that were here. One I think might still be here on the academic side that were very integral to my success. One being Dr. Randy Richards and Dr. John Byrne, who was my advisor. I've stayed friends with both in my years since I've been here at Ambrose. Both wonderful guys, and have been in a lot of ways mentors to me in that time too. I want to thank everyone that's here. I want to congratulate Ali and Aaron and Greg. It's an honor to be inducted along with you all, and thank you.
You've been sitting and listening for a while, and I'll just take 1 minute to address our athletes. It's definitely a look at me culture that you are college athletes within. You turn on ESPN, the people that get rewarded are the ones who are most flamboyant and draw attention to themselves. I think, I didn't know what was going to be said tonight, but my takeaway here is these are the very, very best of the people that have gone before. And I heard nothing but humility and graciousness from the four. That was the theme. And so it doesn't really have anything to do with how good you are, with how much attention you draw to yourself. You can certainly be a teammate and be thankful to others. And I really commend our class. Our committee chose well, and that was very evident by your comments. If you'd like to see them one more time, I believe all of them are going to be with us Saturday at the football game, where we'll have a commanding halftime lead, and then we'll honor them one more time on the field of our homecoming ceremony. So thank you all for sharing this evening with our Hall of Famers, and we'll let you up and stretch, and you can maybe catch a few of them on the way out. Thank you very much.